Hey guys, what is up and welcome to another commentary video. With Season 4 coming up very shortly, and I'm sure a lot of you are practicing what your main champions are going to be for the new season, I thought it would be pretty cool to make a video talking about the top 5 melee solo queue mid lane assassins. Remember that these are not my top 5 favorite, these are just the ones I feel like can carry the best. Also down below, tell me if you guys want to see me do any other top 5 lists. I'm going to be basing it off of 3 different aspects in terms of how I rank each assassin, and the first thing I'm going to base it off of is how much damage can the assassin do. The second thing is, how fast can it do the damage? And finally, how easy is it for the player to do the damage or the combos? So now that you know the basis of which I am ranking the top 5 assassins off of, let's jump straight into the first one. Coming in at number 5 is going to be the assassin you've been seeing on your screen for the past 40 or 50 seconds, Zed. Now some of you, especially people that follow me for quite some time, might be a little bit shocked. You might be thinking how someone like me who mains and loves a Zed can put him at a number 5 spot. But I think the reason is quite simple. So let's go through the aspects of why I think Zed is number 5 on this list in the top 5 melee assassins for mid lane solo queue. Firstly, I just think Zed is honestly somewhat of a difficult champion compared to the other champions I have on this list. He requires a lot of comboing with his skills to get the assassination on a target off properly and to survive as well. Granted, Zed is obviously very good at assassinating a single target, but killing them properly and still getting out alive to be useful for your team can be the part that becomes difficult. He tends to be a lot harder to carry with in solo queue since he isn't exactly the best auto attacking champion, and he's extremely reliant on his ulti and just the mechanics of outplaying people with your shadows. So he's a lot harder technically of a champion compared to a lot of the other assassins because you have to really understand how his shadows work. You have to always remember where your shadows are, which ones you can still jump to. You also have to remember that if you do jump away from your shadows, you can still use your E to attack people with it, and a lot of really small things like that. He's obviously extremely mobile with his shadows, and he's very eye candy like because he can do a lot of sweet plays with his shadows. But if you're not used to him, this can be extremely hard to do. Overall, he's a very strong champion, but you do need a lot of practice in order to play him to his full potential. So now let's jump into the number 4 spot. Coming in at the number 4 spot is going to be the newest champion to come to the league, Yasuot. Some people might be thinking, oh, Yasuot is not an assassin. That's kind of true. He is more of a fighter, but his secondary role is listed as an assassin. And personally, the way he plays around and just how mobile he is, I do consider him as an assassin. Personally, I don't think this should be much of a surprise that I put him number 4 because he's a very good example of a champion that can just simply auto attack and do a lot of damage thanks to his passive. This is obviously something that I just mentioned that Zed lacks, which is why Zed got number 5. The reason this champion did not get a higher place on this list is because he also requires a lot of technical skills in order to properly execute his combos. Even though his auto attacks are still very good, he is still quite reliant on you being able to use his E very nicely, juking around constantly, stacking up the Q, landing the Q, and following it up with your ulti. You have his wind wall, which is obviously a very good spell, but you also need some really nice reactions to pull it off properly. Yasuo's burst is somewhat quick, but it is nowhere near as fast as the other 3 champions that I have on this list. Very much like Zed, Yasuo requires a lot of practice and just kind of getting the hang of in order to play him to his full potential as well. Even though I think he's quite hard to learn, I think he's also a very hard carry. But like I said, the reason he's not higher on this list is because he does require a lot more skill to play as opposed to some of the other ones I have on this list. And as we make our way into the number 3 spot, we're going to be seeing one of the original, oh my god, OP assassin champions, Katarina. She has been around for quite some time and she's been feared as a really solid, just super strong assassin that you don't want fed. The reason that I put her into number 3 spot is because her skills aren't exactly as OP as they used to be. Granted, they are still extremely good and more than enough to carry solo queue thanks to her resets, they just aren't exactly what they used to be. Her ulti is still extremely good, she does a lot of damage with it, but she does still require, contrary to popular belief, a lot of skill in order to play her in the higher ELOs. Because you need to know when to go into a fight in order to actually get a kill and begin your reset combos. A lot of people consider Katarina as the most mindless champion that you just spam buttons on, but that's not necessarily true. She's also extremely reliant on her combos and she really does need a thought process of how you're going to go in, pull your combos off, and when. So the fact that she's not exactly the most overpowered assassin champion, that she does require thought on how you're going to approach a fight and make sure that you don't go in too early or else you're going to just get bursted down, is why I put her in the number 3 spot. Also because she does require a lot of her skills to be activated a lot of the times in order to do a lot of her damage. And also because the champions I have following her are just champions that require a lot less skill and just a button or 2 to do a lot of damage. Alright guys, let us jump to the number 2 spot. This one is gonna be the most infamous bug we know in League of Legends, Kha'Zix. Lately in the solo queue, this critter has been seeing quite a lot of love, and I honestly think he's becoming the flavor of the month, especially for the junglers. Now the reason this guy is in the number 2 spot is because I honestly just think he is very strong, especially once you upgrade his Q. It's just ridiculously strong. After you get his wings evolved, he gets immense range with his jump, and it gets him a nice reset, which just completely complements his kit so damn well. His passive is extremely good for his auto attacks. It does so much damage, and his ulti, the fact that it procs his passive even if you are seen while you go invisible with his ultimate, just makes him so nice. The amount of comboing with Kha'Zix is not very high, and nor is it very hard to do. All you really need to do is just E in, Q someone, and then just E out. That's honestly all you need. Every now and then, maybe, you know, you could use your ulti to just maybe juke someone around or just continue the chase or something of the sort, but let's be honest, E and Q, that's really all you need. So because he can do so much damage extremely quickly, and it's also very easy to do since it doesn't really require that much mechanical skills behind it, especially compared to someone like Zed, this is why I gave him the number 2 spot. After all of this praising for just how strong this guy is with his Q, you might be wondering who's even stronger as an assassin. Well, honestly, I'm sure you can guess it. This little guy right here, he's got to be probably one of the strongest, most OP melee mid lane assassins for solo queue. A lot of people might react to this and be like, yeah, but Fizz has to be like really fed or just has to snowball off of something to be good, but I mean, doesn't that apply to almost any other assassin? And honestly, even if he doesn't snowball completely hardcore off of his lane, he can still snowball off of team fights because he's so slippery and he still does a lot of damage, especially with his ultimates. But let's be honest, his ulti is not even the real story here. The reason this little guy has earned the number 1 spot on this list is because if you have a Lich Bane, all you need is to proc your W, Q on someone, and that's probably half of their HP if they're a squishy. There's literally no skill shots involved, nothing. Like with Kha'Zix, at least you have to land your jump or something of the sort. This guy, you don't even have to do that. You just press W and just Q and walk up to them, damage them, do a lot of damage, and then just, you know, use your E 2 times to just run away if you have to, or maybe just follow up, or I mean whatever. It just does immense damage. So he's a super strong champion, doesn't require a lot of skills other than maybe landing his ultimate, and it can dish out extremely crazy damage very fast in just literally a matter of seconds, and it's very easy to do. On top of all of this, and on top of just how much damage he can dish out so quickly, he has one of the best escapes in the game for an assassin. His E completely dodges skills and is just amazing at losing aggro from turrets, going over walls, and just being very slippery. Most assassins have trouble bringing AoE to a team fight, but his ulti is really good for the team fights. If you land a nice one on the squishies, obviously they can't run. It sets up a huge kill potential onto that target, and if they're around anyone else on their team, they will take a lot of damage as well. And plus you obviously have his E, which, other than being extremely good in terms of mobility and dodging things, is a lot of AoE damage, which is why it is usually maxed first. So that is my top 5 list for melee assassins in the middle lane for solo queue of this current patch. However, before I end off this video just yet, I want to make a special mention of a very specific assassin champion that I feel like we should all have our eye onto him, because honestly I feel like he will be making a reappearance very soon. Now, who is this mystery assassin, you might be wondering? Well, if you look at your screen right now, you will see it is Talon. So I wanted to include him in this list kind of as a bonus because, like I said, I think we should keep an eye on him. He is not a bad champion. He is still quite a decent assassin, though he obviously just isn't as good as the 5 that I just mentioned. Or at least, I don't think he is. For some reason, I think Riot will be buffing this assassin in the upcoming patches. Maybe the next one or the one after that. I'm not exactly sure, but I just have this gut feeling. And if this becomes true, he will definitely make his way back into the scene for a top contender of the best assassins to play. So that does it for this video, guys. I hope you have learned something new and maybe have inspiration to try a new assassin out. These are the champions that I feel like are the best for the mid lane as a melee assassin in order to carry your solo queue game. If you guys have any questions on this list, you can ask them down in the comments below and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please follow me on my social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Anook pages, and I will definitely see you guys for the next video. Peace.